is up, Pixel Clickers? It's Eddie and Matt here from Pixel Forge, and today we are diving back into the captivating, massive open world of Diablo 4. We'll be taking a look at what it has to offer, sharing our thoughts and impressions on the game, because we're both massive fans of the franchise and we've spent a lot of time across the now 4 titles. It's been out just over a month now, so I think it's a good time to jump into it. But I don't know about you, Matt, but the first thing I noticed is that instant Diablo 2 feeling you get when you're looking at that beautiful stone mural with all the colours, the lighting, the textures, and it got me pumped straight away because it's originally what they teased us with when they first revealed the trailer for Diablo 4.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as you open the game, like Blizzard's making a huge statement about the sort of the tone and the visuals of it. Just with that main menu, like you said, that sort of gothic architectural mural. And it's such like a strong contrast compared to, say, Diablo 3, which was this, colourful and almost like cartoony design. It's great.
Yeah, man, it's a big step away from that stylized, bright Diablo 3 back to its roots graphically. It almost feels like a sequel to Diablo 2, and I'm honestly loving it. There's a lot of other people out there as well that are loving it, and I really feel like they've listened to the community this time, especially on the art style this time around as well.
Yeah, for sure. And sort of lean into that, the level design as well. That sort of leans to that darker tone. It's fantastic. Like every new biome, town, dungeon, everything, so it gets you excited, makes you want to sort of explore and take it all in. The whole world feels a lot more lived in compared to previous ones. Like the town's actually huge now, heaps of NPCs walking around and just heaps of little details and stuff. It feels like you can't go, for more than a few minutes without something, distracting you.
Yeah, definitely. It feels, like you say, much more alive just when you're strolling around Kobe Shad or any small town or in a dungeon or in a hideout. There's just way more connection to the atmosphere, the characters, and the world. You'll find heaps more like unique NPCs from all ages as well, ranging from mothers with babies to old transport merchants. I mean, could be some from other Diablo titles, no spoilers. But yeah, they don't have that generic feel like Diablo 3 did. And most of them you can talk to as well. They have something for you to do or something to say, a quest or a mission. And yeah, the verticality they've added in some ways is pretty good, but sometimes it is a bit annoying. Like when you dismount and then you got to wait to get back on your mount. There's a bit of a cooldown. It's a little bit frustrating, but it's not that big of a deal, I don't think. But yeah, it does add a little bit to the game overall.
Yeah, I wish they would have got rid of the cooldown, basically. Like, especially if you're jumping off your horse, like you said, to climb up a cliff or slide down something. It's fucking frustrating having to wait 10 seconds, whatever it is, to get back on your horse. It's just I feel like if you can use your ability, then the cooldown should apply. But as it stands, anyway. It's one of those things, isn't it? Like you sort of get used to it. But yeah, I think they've done a really good job with sort of everything else. Like I said, the level design earlier, they've packed so much detail into each scene. There's heaps of like small objects and heaps of physics-based objects as well. So as you're running through them or you're swinging your weapon, they all go flying and react sort of the way you'd like them to. It's just adds to that bit of immersion. And adding to that as well, I love that your custom character, appears in the cinematics now. So if you're wearing your armor in game,
it's nice.
You see it in
It's
cinematics,
nice.
And it looks good. Looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, as well, like in true Blizzard form, they've put huge amounts of time and resources into not only the story and the cinematics like they usually do, and how many there actually are throughout the whole campaign, and that all of them are absolutely stunning, and they don't drop off at any stage either. Like, you're excited every time you come across some of those blood petals from Lilith, so you can slap your eyes back on some of that juicy pixels that they deliver every time without fail.
Yeah, it's the same for me. I mean, like, without trying to spoil too much, the story is broken up to, I think it's like 6 acts, and they're all sort of mainly driven by the big antagonist, which is Lilith. And honestly, I think she's probably one of the best like villains I've had in any sort of video game that I can think of. It's really, really good from a voice acting to the way they've animated her and the whole story with her.
She looks
fantastic. Good. I found with Diablo 3, I really didn't care for the story at all. Ended up skipping through most of it just to get back to the gameplay, which was the best part of that game for me. I think the story and the gameplay in Diablo 4 are so good. Like you sit there for the story. It's good.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you much either that I remember from Diablo 4. Sorry, Diablo 3. But the real money auction house, that's one thing that comes straight to my mind, which is a joke. Shit. And then the style they had of Diablo as well, how he looked. He was like skinny legged. I know it come from like a female, out of a female kind of thing. That's what they were going for, but it didn't look right to me. But in Diablo 4, you want to see more of Mother. You want to see what she's up to. You want to see what she's doing. It's just engaging. There's way more like memorable moments in the story, and you remember a lot more of the characters compared to Diablo 3. It's not perfect, but it's definitely miles above Diablo 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sort of excited to see where they take the story in the expansions, because the main story of Diablo 4 is so huge and sprawling. There's got to be more they got to add to it, and they do leave it pretty open-ended.
Sure.
I was going to say we should probably mention like the size of the world map, Sanctuary, which is
it's
fucking huge.
Yeah.
I think even after finishing the main sort of campaign, I only discovered maybe half of it.
Yep.
And I'd say sort of those main stories missions will take most people about 25, 30-ish hours. But obviously that depends on how much you explore and how much leveling you do and all that kind of stuff between the missions. But just because you've only discovered half the map, there's heaps more to do after you finish the main mission as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think I probably put maybe 30, 35 hours in. And I think I was 52, 53 when I rolled credits of the campaign. But I did heaps and heaps of exploration, like all the events that came up, all the side missions I did. I think I've 100% all the zones now.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of the side missions, even though they're pretty generic. Kill this, kill that, collect this. But nonetheless, it was pretty good because the gameplay and the combat was so good. So
sure.
it's addictive, like just grouping up massive mobs, crushing them down. Using your ultimate abilities, and in this case as well, I was playing the druid. I swapped the specs probably 4 or 5 times so I could try them all. Obviously didn't have all the right gear for certain builds and things, but just wanted to see mainly the ultimates and all their abilities and how they felt. All of them were heaps of fun, but man, they sounded amazing as well. I ended up playing as the werebear at the end. That's what I'm playing now, trying to get all my pieces for that. I just love being a big tanky bowling ball, just smashing my way through the massive open world.
Yeah.
Because I know we mentioned the world's massive, but it's got over 100 dungeons, heaps and heaps of side quests. There's like 90 plus main quests. There's always something going on as well. It's active events all the time popping up. So from like PvP, world bosses, Legion events, Hell Tides, and then you can jump in as well into a group and do some Nightmare dungeons or do them solo as well. And that's what's good about Diablo, because you can do everything you can do except for probably the world bosses, unless you're actual mad dog. Some people have done it. You can do everything solo. And all of this as well is ready to go day one. Like you got 5 classes all ready to go from day one as well. It honestly feels like we've already had a couple seasons come through already, because it's just so polished straight out of the gate.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I think just to touch on what you're saying, the class variety is so good, man. Like usually I default to playing Barbarian or Barb.
Don't we all?
Yeah, like Whirlwind Barb is just the sort of go-to thing. But I played that during the beta, and had a bit of fun with it. Thought I'd change it up for the main game and play Sorcerer. Don't usually play Sorcerer, but I thought, what the hell, why not?
They look cool.
But the thing is, I started playing it more like I would a Barbarian. I was playing as a melee class, so I had several defensive barriers going, and then using just like a main lightning attack just to wallop fucking enemies. And it was a super fun build. And I think part of the reason why the combat is so satisfying as well, like you said, is that the sound design sort of synergizes so well with pretty much everything you're doing. It sounds very tasty.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I mean, the gameplay, crafting, and combat doesn't push any massive boundaries. Like, it's not groundbreaking. There's no new innovations, really. It just works really well, because they took everything that worked really well from the end of Diablo 3 and have just made it that bit better again. But the sound, on the other hand, that's another step up, which I didn't think they'd be able to do, because the sound in Diablo 3 as well was amazing. They won heaps of awards for it, and I think Diablo 4 definitely going to be on that same kind of path, because it doesn't matter where you are, different biomes, different cities, they all have their unique like feel and soundscape. Like when you first roll into a new area, and then filters down as well into the to the dungeons, all the hideouts, they all got all these different noises, and the gameplay as well. Like every death sounds different for different like characters. The spells and the crits, and man, the ultimates. When you use your ultimate, I don't know, man, it's so good. On the voice acting for them is like really cool. It brings it all together when you use your ultimate as well. It just gives you that deep connection to your character and the world, no matter where you are. Man, it's just delicious, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I think the music and the sound design, like they're at the point where they actually drive the sort of gameplay forward. Like the combat, and the ability sounds so crunchy and so slick that even after probably 50-ish hours I'm in now, I still love getting to fights just to hear the sounds.
Yeah, using your ultimate wouldn't be the same if they didn't have that level of detail. As I said before, I play in the druid, and when I use my ultimate, which is Grizzly Rage, my little pixel man, he lets out this deep bellowing roar. Man, it sounds like you've just blown the horn of the Hura and you've just got this massive army behind you ready to brawl out. And like you say, even I've put probably, I don't know, 120 hours now, I reckon. And yeah, it's still, every time it still gives you that little goosebumps. But yeah, on top of all that as well, like I said before, the towns and the dungeons, they all have their own like unique tracks as well. All different biomes, from like frosty peaks to searing deserts. It's all just this great sound, and yeah, it just gives you this feeling of immersion when you're wandering around. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, no, I agree completely.
I reckon though, we'll quickly touch on the technical side of the game. Now, they dropped a patch day one that pretty much got rid of most of the main issues, and then they dropped a few smaller patches every couple of days after that. But I didn't really have any issues with anything, apart from a couple of times I got stuck at the loading screen. Had to do the old F4, but nothing to cry about. Or headbutt my screen over. I would be heading my screen over if I was playing hardcore though, because sometimes you die to some laggy bullshit, and I think it's the servers. Because you find like if you're in a group, everyone will lag. Like I'll be in a group with my mates and they'll all lag out, and then you die to some garbage. But so that's pretty frustrating. But I think they've got a handle on that a little bit more. There's been another like significant patch they've dropped more towards like the end game with all the experience changes and quality of life stuff, which has been pretty good so far, what I've played of it. I wouldn't mind him doing something with the gem scenario, because you just got gems coming out your ears, just load it up. Yeah. Other than that, technical wise, nothing really. Like I say, just a couple of graphical glitches with my druid when he like transforms, he's holding his weapon out, just stuff like that, but nothing do you be like super angry about.
Yeah, well, I said I didn't have any sort of major technical issues at all. I was actually going to say I'm particularly impressed with how well the servers held up on the launch day.
For sure.
During the beta, you had 3 or 4 hour waits. It's just ridiculous. But I didn't have any of that. I haven't seen any waits to get into servers at all since release. So that's a big plus in my opinion. Obviously, we're running the game at sort of 4K with RTX 4090s. Not everyone has that luxury, but I can also say after playing on 3080 at 4K, it was still 4K 60 the whole time. It was
it was good, solid. Smooth as. And
there is also the option for DLSS if you run an NVIDIA card, so you can always bump those frame rates up if you are struggling a little bit. That being said, I think NVIDIA is actually going to be adding ray tracing to the game eventually. Nothing too crazy. I think it's just ray trace reflections or shadows or something along those lines, which might make the older GPUs struggle a little bit, but it's still going to run pretty smoothly on DLSS or lower reses.
Yeah, and you don't need to have the ray tracing or anything on.
No, that's right.
Like it plays super well. There's heaps of headroom with performance, I reckon, with it, because it is optimized so well, which Blizzard always do a great job of. So I don't think you have too much to worry about with that. And but like you say, man, that was a pretty smooth release. I've been around for a few releases of Warcraft, Diablo, and man, there's been some shitters. But that one was good. I didn't have any wait times either, really. I mean, we are playing Oceanic with Australia, but we didn't have any wait times. So that could be different on other servers, but ours was a good, smooth release.
Yep.
But now that we've spilled our souls on how good it was, there's still a couple of issues, I reckon, with the game, more towards the end game. and what it offers, because it's pretty much very similar to Diablo 3 bar the open world. There's nothing, like I said before, like massively groundbreaking or new. Just random events, the bosses, all that stuff I talked about before. It feels like there's not at the moment enough spice, not enough variety, and it does become a little tedious the more hours you play it. You've got like obviously gearing up and getting your sets and trying to kill Uber Lilith and all that kind of stuff, and then the PvP, which is super unbalanced. But it doesn't, with the gearing, it doesn't feel as meaningful as it could because of just all the random fixes and stats and how much stuff you can actually change. It's just literally clumps of stats that kind of push you down a specific path with not much wiggle room. You know, you can kind of go out of the box a bit, but then you're not going to be as strong because there's always going to be these kind of meta kind of classes. But in this, at least, there is a lot of different classes and a lot of different ways you can do it, but there is specific ways for each one. And it's not like you find that amazing piece of gear like, wow, I fucking farmed ages for this. This is it. I'm a mad dog. Yeah. There's no real feeling of that. Like, you just want the best kind of stats on it, which is fair enough. But I feel like they could somehow do maybe something a little bit different with that. And like, I mean, the mechanics haven't changed really too much. There's a few new things like random spawns. Like I like fighting the butcher, that random when he's in your dungeon, nightmare or normal.
Shows up.
It's fun. It gives you that little bit of, oh fuck, what's going on here? I mean, some classes it's harder for others. I don't find it too hard on the druid. I don't do massive amounts of damage to him, but I can kill him. I can literally face tank him nearly, and level 70-ish. And it's just that kind of stuff. More of that kind of thing would be pretty cool. And more events around the world, I reckon, would be better. Like the bosses, a bit more random, not like a 30-minute timer. Like they can literally just spawn and they just brawl out. Like you don't really get too much of a timer. So you're like, oh, I got 30 minutes. Oh, what am I going to do between now and then? Like just, have some ones where it's just full random. The map flashes and it's like, boom, he's up. And then everyone's got a couple minutes to get there. And if you get there in time and kill it, you get there in time, you get the gear. But other than that, they've been pretty open about it. Definitely a lot more they're going to add, I think, what they've already said with these new seasons are going to be like mini expansions. But yeah, like I say, they've been pretty open about where it's headed and they've definitely listened to us this time, except the greedy fuckers are out of their goddamn mind with that real money store. It's a fucking disgrace.
Yeah, it's egregious to say the least. I mean, I haven't looked into it too much, but when I have seen,
don't do it.
They're trying to charge like almost $40 Australian dollars for one skin. Like, I guess these skins take time and effort and stuff from Blizzard's, 3D artists to create and whatever. But that's crazy, isn't it? Like I paid $90 for the game. Why the fuck would I want to spend $40 on a skin? It's not representative of the price.
Nah, for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're thinking.
The only redeeming thing I can find is that they're purely visual cosmetics. There's no in-game benefits to. Yeah,
it doesn't make you stronger or give you.
Just a bit of wank factor, basically. Like it's it's crazy and hard to justify in my head. But some people out there, they got the money, they want to spend it. That's fine.
That's fine.
It's just I don't know. You're fueling the fire if you buy these skins.
Yeah, just don't do it. There's so much
plan, man.
Yeah, there's so many like cosmetics in there anyway. Like you don't need it.
That's right. I honestly felt like I never needed to buy one of these premium cosmetics that look cool because all the base, armors and weapons look sick already. Like they look awesome.
Yeah,
and there's like 20 sets you can collect for each class. Like I don't know. That's just me though. I'm tight with my money, should I say?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what do you reckon though? Worth buying or not worth buying?
Yeah, I absolutely think it's worth buying. So like, just for the story, the gameplay, it's hard to pass up. As an overall package, it's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sort of microtransactions aside, this is the best Diablo has ever been, and can't wait for the future expansions or DLCs because no doubt Blizzard's already planning how to get even more money out of us.
Oh yeah, and my smooth brain will buy it. That's for sure because they're already teasing some stuff, and I'll definitely buy it because I've never not bought a Warcraft or a Diablo expansion. But yeah, like you say, it's absolutely worth every bit just for the story alone, the scale of the game, how much replayability there is, plus having that like hardcore mode when they get the servers a bit more stable for the sweat lords or us mere mortals that just want to suffer. But I'd definitely recommend Diablo for anyone that's like on the fence about whether they should get it or not.
Yeah, me too.
All right. But yeah, let us know what you guys are loving, what you're hating, what you want them to change, or what they have changed even that you're like happy with this time around in the comments. But yeah, it's definitely a yes for me. It's well worth playing. So if you like these kind of content as well, guys, just hit that subscribe, smash that bell. That would mean a lot to us here at Pixel Forge. Anyway, guys, that's it from us. Pixel Forge is signing off.
Bye-bye.